What's up, everyone? I want to talk to you today about a topic that I don't hear very many people talking about, and that's super, super prevalent, and that is love and sex addiction. And I honestly feel that most people have, at some point in their life, been in a sort of love addicted phase or a sex addicted phase, but it's a sliding scale, the intensity of how much you engage in it. When it's just casual kind of addiction, like relationship addiction and hookup addiction, versus like full-fledged obsessive love and sex compulsions. So there's actually a 12-step group called Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and this group was formed because people actually have a chemical dependency on sex and love in many situations. They list 12 characteristics of people who are sex and love addicted. 1. Having few healthy boundaries, we become sexually involved with and or emotionally attached to people without knowing them. 2. Fearing abandonment and loneliness, we stay in and return to painful, destructive relationships. Concealing our dependency needs from ourselves and others, growing more isolated and alienated from friends and loved ones, ourselves and God. 3. Fearing emotional and or sexual deprivation, we compulsively pursue and involve ourselves in one relationship after another, sometimes having more than one sexual or emotional liaison at a time. 4. We confuse love with neediness, physical and sexual attraction, pity, and or the need to rescue or be rescued. 5. We feel empty and incomplete when we are alone. Even though we fear intimacy and commitment, we continually search for relationships and sexual contacts. 6. We sexualize stress, guilt, loneliness, anger, shame, fear, and envy. We use sex or emotional dependence as substitutes for nurturing care and support. 7. We use sex and emotional involvement to manipulate and control others. 8. We become immobilized or seriously distracted by romantic or sexual obsessions or fantasies. 9. We avoid responsibility for ourselves by attaching ourselves to people who are emotionally unavailable. 10. We stay enslaved to emotional dependency, romantic intrigue, or compulsive sexual activities. 11. To avoid feeling vulnerable, we may retreat from all intimate involvement, mistaking sexual and emotional anorexia for recovery. 12. We assign magical qualities to others. We idealize and pursue them, then blame them for not fulfilling our fantasies and expectations. A lot of the times, these disorders stem from not getting your emotional needs met from your family, from your caregivers, or from a sexual trauma and the attempt to remedy that energy by going into an excess. Very few people know this, but your emotions can actually become an addiction. And it doesn't really make sense very easily at first because we consider that as part of us. But your emotions are actually peptides that are released from the brain and that stimulate certain reactions in you, and your cells have these cell receptor sites for these peptides, and they create a certain amount and then they divide and proliferate, and they expect the same kind of reception of these emotions. So let's say, for example, someone is used to constantly emitting anger, those cells will be expecting, they'll create enough cell receptor sites for the anger peptides, but let's say there isn't any anger naturally, so the cells are expecting it, they'll send signals to your brain to put you in a situation where you can actually get angry and release those peptides to the cells. So it's a very biochemical affliction, and this is why we have things like trauma bonding and these really dysfunctional relationships where people are as addicted as someone on heroin. A lot of the people who have these disorders will have the typical kind of come here, go away complex. So I'm sure either you've experienced or you've had friends or people that you know that they really get obsessed with a guy or a girl, and they'll just like be constantly thinking about them and really wanting, just being in love with them and just crazy, will do anything for them, constantly talking about them and fantasizing, and just even within themselves just feeling that emotional release. And so those are like those peptides that I'm talking about. And what's really interesting is the come here, go away aspect of it is that the longing, what they're actually wanting is not the person, but the state of longing that is a form of the trauma response they picked up in childhood. And so they'll want someone just because they evoke those peptides and the feelings of kind of neglect or longing, maybe not getting enough attention from a caregiver. And so when they actually get the person or the object of their affection, they won't have any attraction anymore all of a sudden, because it wasn't a genuine love. It was just this need for releasing those peptides that are just this, it's a habitual thing. So a lot of people are always talking about how like you're in spiritual sense, like you're not your thoughts, but you're also not your emotions. And it's so easy for people to get caught up in thinking that they are their emotions, and you're definitely not your emotions. So just like your brain is kind of on autopilot emitting these thoughts, those thoughts become the autopilot of your emotions and emitting those emotions. So I love talking about love and sexuality, and I'm super passionate about promoting a healthy model of love and sexuality. And to be really honest with you guys, most of the time that I see these twin flame relationships, this runner and chaser dynamic, I really think it's just love addiction most of the time. And this isn't to say that true love doesn't exist, it definitely does, but true love is usually in a very healthy context. It's peaceful, and in this Kali Yuga and day and age, it's honestly kind of a rare thing where you have this true love. It really takes two people that have really worked on themselves, and they're not trying to fill a lack with the other person. And of course you're not always going to be perfect, but it should be in a way that there's mutual growth, and it's not a neediness and a pullingness energy, and there aren't these toxic trauma bond emotions. We all love to be in love. I think it's honestly one of the most beautiful experiences in the human experience, but it's important to be willing to have patience and to be realistic. And unfortunately, so many of these Hollywood movies and fairy tales and things will paint a negative idea of what love really is, and it'll usually be the promotion of codependency or the promotion of, just toxic relationships. And real love is supposed to feel peaceful, it's supposed to feel connected, and it's supposed to come from your wholeness, not from your lack. We're so starved for intimacy in our society that so many people will really just want to rush into a relationship just to have that chemical release, that hormonal release. But it's all an illusion. You can really feel that completely on your own and not come from a place of need when it's with a partner. Pornography addiction as well is stemming from this lack of intimacy. Really anything, all these love and sexual addictions are coming from a need for connection, and the whole human experience is about wanting to find wholeness, union, going to source energy, like wanting to be feeling whole and complete. So I'm launching my Healing from Sexual Trauma course tomorrow not only for people who have been victims of violent abuse, but because sexual trauma comes from all of these relationships that so many of us have had that have just been empty and, you know, not real love and sexual connection. And so the more you actually go into your body and your spirit and empty out and clear all these toxic energies that you've pulled up along the way, the more likely you are to actually manifest real love relationship and to just be coming from a high vibration, pure vibration, and to really have that love, because I think it is possible for people to attract a partner from a healthy sense of self and to have like real wholesome loving connection. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.